And I had the great pleasure of going to Tokyo, Beirut, Nashville, Tennessee. And one of the highlights about doing Shakespeare abroad is that you get to hear an audience in Arabic laughing at a joke about bottoms that's 400 years old. So tonight it's just me and Will together. So it's just me, and there's a picture of him. Or is it him? That's a whole other talk. And this is all you're going to see, because there's going to be no other images except that. Because tonight, I don't want you to be looking up there, I want you to be using your ears. I want you to be listening. So friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him with a PowerPoint presentation. And the reason that I want you to listen is because the basic ground of language, any language, is verbal. There's a reason you're called an audience. It's because you're auditors, and you are sitting in an auditorium. We live in a very visually saturated culture now, so the idea of being spectators has come a bit later. Yes, I know the Romans did it, but we still retain that thing of being an audience. And certainly back in Shakespeare's day, we used to say, I will go see that play. Now, Shakespeare, not everybody's cup of tea, I know. Some people like him, some people are indifferent, and some people, can't stand that old-fashioned stuff. So just as a straw poll, could we have hands up anybody who's seen a Shakespeare play and liked it, or at least sat through it? Oh, good, that's great. Anybody who's a bit meh, what relevance has it got today? Good, thank you. And anybody who thinks positively, that was shit, that stuff I did at school, and I really can't be bothered. Is there anybody?
I used to think that until I saw some kids.
Say again?
I used to think that until I saw some.
I
used to think that.
You used to think that, but now you think it's awesome. We like you, sir. So yes, he's supposed to be heard, and I would say he's supposed to be heard in a group of people, rather than just reading it, although reading can be wonderful. It is 16th century language, there's no getting away from that, it's old, and it is difficult to understand sometimes, but I think if you get a group of actors who know what they're saying and can understand it, I think you can understand it. And the main thing about distinguishes Shakespeare from other playwrights is that he wrote in a thing called iambic pentameter, which is a very posh way of saying it's a particular rhythm. So, just to explain what iambic pentameter is. Okay. I'm going to try and have a little go explaining what this meter's all about. Did anybody notice anything about the last two sentences I spoke? They were in iambic pentameter, because the basic sound of an iamb, which is a foot, is da-dum. And there are 5 of them, so its iambic pentameter is 5 da-dums. So the line goes... And there you have, to begin with, your beating heart of Shakespeare. That's the very foundation of his language. It's in 2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene. And that's the beat that underlies all of Shakespeare. Now, he varies from it, he goes off on the beat, like a good rapper who works in 4. Shakespeare's working in 5. He sometimes goes off the beat, like a jazz musician, but there's always that pulse, always going underneath. So, that is iambic pentameter. So, the thing about listening to Shakespeare as opposed to reading it is because this beat is connected to your heartbeat, it slows you down. Because it goes through your body, it's not in your head so much. We live in a very fast culture, in a very visually saturated culture. And my point would be that we need Shakespeare, we need him to slow us down a little. Oh, Tim, this isn't going. I don't know how long I've been yakking on for. It's fine. Just give me a wave and go like this if I'm going over. So, there's that. And there's also the point that Shakespeare's language is right at the heart of what our language is. He has put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of words into the language. I mean, you may all be familiar with some things like Et tu Brute or the Ides of March, or Lend Me Your Ears, but there are so many more, and he brought so many phrases and words in. He would turn nouns into verbs. He would turn verbs into adjectives. And he would put words together that hadn't been done before. And wherever you look in the language or hear, you'll find that you're speaking Shakespeare without knowing. I mean, if you say, it's all Greek to me, that's Shakespeare. If you say, the world's my oyster, that's Shakespeare. And even saying, wearing your heart on your sleeve, that's Shakespeare. Though, funnily enough, it was with a character who didn't. He was a very hidden, nasty character called Iago. So, that is Shakespeare in a nutshell. He's right there at the heart of our language. He's our biggest cultural export. And whatever you think of him and however way you take him, there he is. You can't get round him. He's a kind of big colossus of the English language. And it's not just that he is at the heart of our language, it's that he deals with the human heart. That's what he's dealing with. Who are we? What makes us human? It's all there, it's all in Shakespeare. And he knew about the heart, he knew about the fantastic side of it, the love side of it, the light side of it, the power of it. And he also knew about its darker side. We all know about the light side, we all like it. We all know about Romeo and Juliet, As You Like It perhaps. We know the sonnets, we know that those are some of the greatest love poems ever written. But of course, he was also fascinated by the darker side. He knew what it was to write about hate, about murder, violence, gore. Those are some of his most popular plays. I mean, if you think of Macbeth, Tarantino's sort of hardly got anything on, what is it Macbeth says? I am in blood, steeped in so far, that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as going o'er. Meaning, I'm up to my knees in it, I've just got to keep going. And for those of you that are familiar with Hamlet, the end of the stage is absolutely littered with dead bodies. Everybody's dead. They've been stabbed, they've been poisoned, what have you. They're all dead. And that happens time and time again in plays. There's a lot of death in the plays. So, violence certainly, and lust. A secret dark emotion of the heart, sexual lust. But most popular of all, he loved to write about people who had a lust for power. Kings and queens of England, the lust for power, or the hidden side of keeping your lust for power hidden. And it struck me, I was just looked at the news one day, and who should be on it but Trump? How can you escape him? And it really did remind me of one of Shakespeare's most popular plays, which is Richard III. And I was thinking, yes, it's about a sociopath who becomes in charge of a very powerful country. And what does he do on the way to the throne? He betrays, he murders. Okay, Trump hasn't done that yet, but he has said that he could kill somebody in broad daylight in New York and nobody would have him for it. Divide and rule. That was one of Richard's things. And absolutely no loyalty to your associates. Once they'd served Richard's term, that was it. Very short summary, you either got beheaded or he dumped you. Treason. He accused others of his own crime. That was a particular thing he did. And contempt for women. He meets Lady Anne. He's murdered her husband. He's murdered her father-in-law. She's just taken the body of her father-in-law to go to a funeral. He comes up and he virtually grabs her by the pussy. And she ends up marrying him. And then when he's got no use for her, give out that Anne, my wife, is very sick. She's dead. So he does have that contempt. But he is a much cleverer character than Trump, of course, because when he lies, Richard lies, he knows he does it, and he invites you and me, shows that he's lying, and he invites you and me to kind of take delight in it, and we do. whereas I don't think you can say that of the orange one. So, here we have this beating heart of Shakespeare. It's in this, it's in the heart of the language, it's looking into the human heart. And I think that as individuals and as countries, what have we got if we lose our heart? You know, we need to be reminded of it, of the height and the depth of what it is to be human. And there's nobody expresses it so well as Shakespeare. And we need to be reminded of it. He did borrow from the Greeks a bit, he borrowed from everybody, but it's he who made that language his own. And I still think we need that beating heart. This is what we need. Thank you. Just to finish off, I thought we'd play a game of Shakespeare Bingo. So if you remember, I was telling you about how all these words and phrases have come into the language. Well, I sneaked in beforehand, and if you can look under your seats, some of you will find a piece of paper with some Shakespeare quotes on it. Anybody not got one that wants one? So who would like to start us off?
Beggars all description.
Beggars all description. Like fantastic. Speaking Shakespeare. I think that's Antony and Cleopatra. I can't do it for all of them. Yes, somebody else.
Elbow room.
Sorry?
Elbow room.
Elbow room. Excellent. Thank you.
Be all and end all.
Be all and end all.
More sinned against than sinning.
More sinned against than sinning. You see, you speak Shakespeare.
Too much of a good thing.
Too much of a good thing.
Seen better days.
Seen better days.
Crack of doom.
Say again.
Crack of doom.
The crack of doom. Laughing stock.
Tower of strength.
Sorry?
Tower of
A
strength.
tower of strength.
Green-eyed monster.
The green-eyed monster jealousy. That's from Othello.
The more fool you.
More fool you.
Short shrift.
Short shrift. What have you got? So,
Which
what,
is father to the thought.
say what?
Which is father to the thought.
Which is father to the thought. I have here, it's one I've already written down, and for the person who called out, the one I've already written down, there will be a prize. Small prize. So, beggars all description. Who was that? Would you like to compliment the prize? Collect the prize? Or I'll come and bring it to you. So what it is something to hang on your Christmas tree to remind you of the beating heart of Shakespeare. Thank you.